Can you hear me? Let me close.
El recording has begun.
Oh, nice.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys.
Good evening.
Good.
And good night.
Good new year.
That's
good Christmas.
Good right now. Good day.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Good.
I mean, we've already started, but I'd still like to know how you guys are doing.
Personally, I'm doing great. It's always nice to do this episodes with the team. It's it's always a breath of fresh air to do this.
True. Very, very true. Mr. Thomas, how are you doing? Mr. Thomas, how are you doing?
I'm also doing well. It's been a minute. It's been like what, a month?
Been a month.
It's been a month, literally a minute.
Damn, it has been a month. It feels like 2 months. I don't know why.
It's because of activities. It's been bang on of activities. So you find yourself so busy, you forget time flies.
Very
in this
true.
case, it doesn't fly.
It runs away.
Hi.
It's just one time. It's magic.
Alright, my guys, welcome to the Your Mentor Money and Youth Talk Show. My name is David Mhinachai. I am one of your hosts. I am joined here today by the amazing whoever sees my hands and starts.
You both hands went up.
Yes, I was extending a branch to both of you to start.
RCC.
all of the
Your
above, all of our
Radio
sponsors.
254.
But no, please, whoever wants to introduce themselves first, please do.
Okay, I think I'll take this upon. So yeah, you're here with Collins Rotich, one of the hosts of the Money and Youth Talk Show. We are here on episode 16, bro.
Yeah,
16. That's 4 years.
Yeah.
It's per quarter.
Bro,
yeah, 4 times for 4 years.
This child
so
can
this
talk
is the last episode for the year.
Yep.
So yeah, we're closing it strong. I think, yeah. Happy to be here. Happy to be with you guys. Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's make it an episode.
Karibu. And
Sante.
And Thomas Aquina Songaro, also a host. This is amazing. Another episode, another talk show, another experience we get to share with everyone else. So yeah, I can't really wait for this one, especially the topic. The topic looks very entertaining.
The listeners don't know what the topic is, so I like that. That's like a bit of foreshadowing. Do-do-do-dum. Insert very foreshadowy music and clouds. So for those of you who don't know, this is the Money and Youth Talk Show. It's brought to you by Your Mentor. It's basically a talk show where a couple of friends, myself and my friends, get together and we more or less get to discuss topics surrounding money, topics surrounding business, topics surrounding art, and how all these different things more or less interject and come together. This is episode 16. It's brought to you by Your Mentor. This is a program that more or less explores the work that young people are doing in the creative space, and we try and champion this by telling their stories to other people who want to do the same thing but don't know where to start or what to do. We call it equipping youth to thrive economically and socially. So this is one of the platforms that we are using to equip people, more or less young guys talking about money, hoping that other young people who handle money get to meet and discuss. Speaking of money, guys, this show was brought to you by True Denim Collection. Ching, 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 guys. With the camera. Yes. You see these pieces right here. It's always TDC. This is very can someone just look at the camera and look sexy, please? Yes. Kolo, thank you. I see you, Tome. I see you over there. Brought to you by TDC. For those of you who don't know, we are the owners of TDC, also current employees for TDC, and whenever you see us on any given episode, we're always rocking TDC pieces. So be sure to check it out on www.truedenimcollection.com or on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at True Denim Collection for all your denim related needs. Also, this episode is brought to you by The Sharp Entrepreneur. Oh yeah, you know what that means, yeah. It's Christmas time, yeah. You know the rapper sound, what it means. But The Sharp Entrepreneur is basically a guidebook that I'll show it over there. Yeah, you can see, I'm seeing it on the screen. It's more or less a guidebook that our team has used to more or less guide the topics that we've had ever since we started. if you're a young creative or just someone who wants to get into the creative space and make a business out of it, this is a really good workbook that you can use to more or less steer your thoughts. If you want to purchase it, it comes with a free Your Mentor t-shirt, and you can hit the Your Mentor DMs for your copy today. The Sharp Entrepreneur. Finally, before we get into the topic, I just want to say thank you for another year of Your Mentor activities. It feels good. It feels good to be here on, I think it's the second last day of the month, Sindio.
Yeah.
We are crossing over to December.
Wow, 11 months is gone by.
Just gone by. Like it feels like a dream, but I know for a fact it was real because we experienced every single second of it getting to this point.
Yeah.
But it just feels good being here now, sitting with you guys, talking. It's usually like a recap, I guess, also for us to do this, considering every day is business, and then now this is like, okay, let's recap. So we have an amazing topic for today, guys. Something that almost everyone tackles, but there's some form of taboo around the topic, especially for young people, and especially in this country of ours, this great country of ours, of Kenya. And the topic of the day is managing debt wisely. What are the strategies to help you stay financially healthy? I'm going to repeat that. Managing debt wisely. What are the strategies to help stay financially healthy? And guys, unajua kawaida yangu, I always have quotes for you today, because in the spirit of Christmas, I have 2 quotes. I didn't want to just come with one. I wanted at least one for each of you.
Buy one, get one free.
Buy one, get one free, yes. And the first one actually, Kolo, was for you, because it's a quote by someone, not for you, but I picked it because the guy who came up with the quote is someone you've been telling us about a lot. The quote goes, "You can't spend your way out of debt or borrow your way out of bankruptcy." Let me repeat that. You can't spend your way out of debt or borrow your way out of bankruptcy. That was a quote by Dave Ramsey. Aya. Merry Christmas. Let me hit you with the second one. Time is your friend. Impulse is your enemy. Time is your friend. Impulse is your enemy. I'm not gonna break down the quotes because they were very nuanced with not just debt but also investing. It depends with how you look at it and approach it. So I would like these to more or less, I'd like the quotes to ring in your mind as we break down the topics of the day. Sawa my guys? Aya. So for our first speaking point for the day, it's more or less understanding debt. Want to more or less break it down. Understand what is debt. Are there types of debt? What sources are there for me to get access to debt? More or less ground zero. If I am stupid and I don't know what debt is and how to acquire it, how can I go through this? This is for everyone. The floor is open. I think I'll start with Tome, then go to Kolo, and then we'll continue.
Sure.
Yeah, so Deni. I know every time we switch on the news, there was a certain time where it just used to speak about loans, Deni. They used to say something about Deni. And guys also wonder, hey, is it my Deni? Tulichukuaje? Ama how guys say that the world has a debt of what trillion.
The world is in debt.
How is the world in debt?
The world is in debt.
Who do we owe the cash? Who are those? This is heaven. Do you owe heaven? Maybe we do. But yeah, so debt in general, I'm on top, I'd say is money borrowed. Specifically money that's borrowed to be returned. Yeah. So you have to return it. And not only do you have to return it, some instances, if not all, you'll have to pay with an interest. So there are some terms that are involved with debt, like the fact that you borrow, you have to return with an interest. There's the initial amount that you borrowed, which has also a term in it. I've forgotten the term. The principal. And there's so much in it. But kwa juju, I would say that debt is money that you'd borrow to actually make more money, so that when you're paying it, you don't pay it and feel like you've gone on a loss. You know, you pay it so that you plus there's the interest which you have to pay, so that you also get something from some benefit from it. You know, you put it in a business or something. Usiombe pesa alafu uende sherehe Monday
buy boutique or club,
buy boutiques Monday ikikuja
tuchange hata ningemshow
Monday ikikuja uko zero uko guy, maybe I shouldn't have, but you say yeah, so basically it's money that you borrow and you have to return it by force. So that's
by force. They'll come take your stuff.
Hey, can take you even.
That's true. What's your definition of your layman's definition of debt?
I think Tome got it right. I think or rather if you read about it, more or less debt is basically money borrowed that's meant to be paid back with an interest, and then the only thing I can add for Tome is the overtime. Interest over time. So depending on the time, because the time aspect is important, because there's things like repayment period and all that. In terms of how Thomas was talking about using the money to add value, that goes to the point of what type of debts are there. There's good debt and bad debt. Good debt is when you use the money to invest in like an asset that can generate revenue. Then from that revenue, you're able to pay back the interest and principal. And then you still maintain the asset afterwards. And you know, like it's like you buy an apartment, you with the rent from the apartment you pay back the deni. After the deni is gone, you still left the asset. That's how a lot of guys use debt for good, especially on the larger scale of things. On a smaller scale, it could be something as simple as maybe just you have a shop in Tao, demand is going high, you have more demand than stock. So what do? You take a debt to buy extra stock. Then if that extra stock brings you, like maybe you borrowed 100k, and then that extra stock gives you 150k, you paid back your 100k, maybe like 10% or 20% interest, or maybe 120, you have an extra 30 rack. That's additional revenue that you would have otherwise had. So that's type of good debt. Bad debt is money that you take to spend, ideally money that you don't know how you're going to pay it back. So for example, in like a personal expense, maybe you've overspent on a night out, and then enough time to pay the final bill, on a balance, unafuliza. You see, that's not money you had planned for. That interest that you pay for is money that you didn't necessarily have to pay for if you had planned yourself a bit better. Another example, even for business, could be taking debt to pay operational expenses. So you find that it's not generating revenue. So that means you're going deeper and deeper in the sinkhole. If you're not getting revenue and you're asking for more money, it means that you owe more money. So when money comes in, there's a lot of leaks. So money keeps going out. So you need to know the difference between good debt and bad debt. I think that's how I'd answer your question of what's debt.
Yeah, I think also it makes me want to explore sources of this debt. You get? Because funny story. I remember how I got into using Fuliza. I was with you, Collins. I don't know why you're laughing. Because you remember. He's laughing because he remembers. It was back in 2021. And I remember I was going to do something, some TDC operation in town. And also something, I was going to get like, I think my guitar or something from Nairobi. Back in Nairobi. And I was like, yo, how am I gonna get cash to go to Nairobi? And then you're like, bro, so just Fuliza it if you don't have cash. And I remember my question was how do I access Fuliza? And you blew my mind because you answered with everyone has access to Fuliza. And I didn't know that is a thing. Yeah. So I believe that there's so many people much like myself who they know that this debt exists, but
they don't know how to access it.
Exactly. So
that's actually a very interesting. You've blown my mind there.
That was me on 2020. like you're like, bro, what do you mean? It says 0 in my M-Pesa right now. I'm looking at it. It says David Minachai, your M-Pesa balance is 0.00. Exactly. And then you're like, nah, bro, you have like some extra cash.
You must have Fuliza.
Just spend that 0, you'll see what happens.
What do you mean?
Exactly. But they shout out to Safaricom.
Sponsor us, guys, please. Fuliza.
Give us Fuliza, man. There was a thing that was happening around Fuliza. Apparently, people stole cash from Fuliza. Billions.
So sources of debt, you see when the topic was We'll look into that, I think.
Yeah,
Sources of debt. But I'd love to.
But what I was saying was that you blew my mind with that comment, because you've said something that I had when I was in uni learning about finance. But you never really think about how serious those things are. So like in finance is this thing about access, allowing access to credit to people who would not have otherwise accessed credit. That's why a lot of these companies have come up, because Tala is basically giving credit to the unbanked to some degree. So they're using other indicators aside from, normal banks use indicators of maybe your transactions. Are you employed? Can you be able to repay? If you don't know someone can be able to repay, how do you give them access to credit? So there's a lot of innovation around that aspect to access of credit. And that's why things like Tala exist, even like Fuliza,
So we'd call them, are those financial instruments?
No, financial instruments are assets. So like something like maybe like a stock is a financial instrument. In this case, it's just different financial. Okay, even technically instrument would be a proper term, but it's different financial products that allow you to access credit. Maybe to answer your question, because that was just a random thought, umenipeleka to paper yangu nilifanya fulani sadia.
Your lecturer is smiling right now. He's like, yes, my son.
The lecturer was on point where he changed my life, but that's beside the point. In terms of sources of sources of credit, I think also, even speaking from experience, I didn't know a lot of them. So let me just say them, and then now I speak about my experience. Primarily, if let's say you're a business, before even go to individual, because loan is accessible to persons, or individuals or business institutions as well. So for like a business, there's different options. For example, option one, which is the most like need step one, is like a bank loan. However, bank loans are not always accessible to people, because they need you to have either collateral, or you have a very solid business plan, or evidence that you can be able to pay back this loan. So banks are very stringent on the who exactly they give loans to. Underneath banks are something known as microfinance institutes. And also these are two different institutions, but let's just go with microfinance institutes. So ideally, these microfinance institutes are basically they're basically companies which give credit to people who would have otherwise not been able to receive that type of credit. For example, a popular one is KWFT, Kenya Women Microfinance
ESG points zako zimeshuka.
But unacheki, like that product, ideally it's giving access to women in business to be able to get credit. However, it's slightly higher than bank loans, because it's a bit riskier, because they're giving it to business people. There's also Faulu Credit. Is it Faulu Credit or Faulu Bank? I'm not sure. There's also a type of bank that also is a microfinance bank that allows you to access credit as well. So as a business, if you're opening bank accounts, those are some of the options you can look at. So if you go to banks, there's now microfinance institutions, and then now there's SACCOs. So the good thing about a SACCO is basically a bank, but you own shares in it ideally, and also they give you higher size of debt. So for example, if you have an M with them, you can borrow up to like 3M, of course, with people to guarantee you. However, banks, your credit is based off of what they measure you
with them.
Yeah, ideally exactly, ideally. So SACCOs are very good, also a place to get cheaper debt, as opposed to now the last option, which is now mobile or digital lending platforms. Mobile loans, the easier it is to get, the higher the interest, more money you're gonna pay. You get, and these things for your phone are very expensive. Fuliza is very expensive. You guys are making Safaricom rich every day. Every time unafuliza wewe jo unalipa bonus ya mtu ya 230 million at the end of the year, by the way.
Collins utafuatwa.
So you find that Fuliza is an overdraft facility. So overdraft means that you're able to spend over your current bank balance ideally. So say different kinds of sources. For me personally, I can say from what you've spoken, even me, I didn't know all of these things. Nilianza na M-Shwari, KCB M-Pesa, Timiza na Fuliza. Those are my primary sources of income, because when you start, not income, sources of credit, because when you're starting a business and you don't know anything, you work with what you know, and these things are very easily accessible. I mean, I couldn't just go to a bank and ask them for 3 mil.
Yeah.
What I just opened a bank last week.
If it could be that easy.
Nimeka tao kadhaa hapa, unajua it's not,
Yeah.
and you need to build to actually get that. Then now I learned about circles. This was like after like a year after we moved out, and then like life got a bit hard, and then I started reading like how do rich people make money. I went into a YouTube rabbit hole and discovered stocks, bonds, money markets. So then I discovered circles, and what I learned about circles is that you save with them and they give you interest on your savings by default. Ideally ukiweka do hapo after 360 days you earn interest on the cash that you've saved. On top of that, the cash that you've saved acts like a principal. So if you save like 10k, you can get 30k instantly, which is something significant if you're starting from zero like I was. And it's not hard. Circles you can open from as little as 5 SOC to even 2.5. I think Stima Circle is 5 SOC. It's not Stima. This police circle is 5 SOC, Stima Circle is like 2k 2.5. And then now you keep saving pole pole, you figure the minimum share capital, and also the minimum required. Now you can start actually accessing loan. You have to save for like 6 months, but nonetheless that's an access. Microfinance is just like a bank. Enda tu kuambia cheki, this is my company, I want to open my biashara account over here, fungua it with them. The more and more you keep using it, your transactions, you build up credit, and then you're able to access those types of loans. So they're very really accessible. Digital loans, lakini please
be smart about how you use them.
Yeah.
We have a topic on managing the debt, but I'd love to to me, which of the sources that Kolos mentioned have you had an experience with, and can you speak on the experience?
I'd say also personal, like person to person debt. Most what I've interacted with because of friends and like that.
Okay.
KCB loans, things that you said are very accessible. Those digital loans,
Yeah.
KCB, Fuliza, sometimes if not all. Most. I haven't joined Timiza and all those because I'm a bit skeptical about them. But mostly those two.
But the P2P is actually something like Chamas also, or merry-go-rounds as they're called.
Yes,
And I think you can even negotiate your interest rate when it's on a P2P basis, as opposed to most of these institutions have a set rate that you pay. If I'm not wrong.
Yes, they do. Though sometimes in diverse situations you can be able to negotiate a bank loan, but it depends also the size. So to negotiate punch.
Very nice, very nice. I like that was a very comprehensive breakdown of what debt is and more or less how you can access it. Let's now go into, let's imagine we now have this debt. Tumeenda kwa, I was thinking of an institution to give clout, but they are not sponsoring us. So we have gone to an institution. We have gone to KWFT. Yes.
I don't think guys, hold on.
We are going to the three of us
are
going to KWFT.
Go to KWFT.
They have looked outside their portfolio.
They need to diversify.
KMFT maybe, but KWFT.
Okay, we have gone to KMFT and they have given us a loan, and I would like us to now discuss how you can smartly manage this debt, because at the end of the day, and this is a running joke we always have a lot of times in the house, if you don't have a plan for your money, life creates plans for it, and then you find yourself spending it. So I'd love for us to discuss how to more or less deal with debt, but one thing that I'd love to really discuss is to deal with accumulative debt. You guys understand what I'm saying? Mr. Thomas, you have the floor.
So managing your debt, strategically managing your debt. I'll give an experience of myself, how I tend to deal with debt. So at first, I'd create a budget, or I'd create a list, basically writing all the people that I owe their money. I create that list, write down their names, and also write down the amount that I owe them. And if it's with an interest, I do the calculation, add it up, and I know how much I owe them. So from that, that will help me to also know if one has a deadline when I'm supposed to pay it, and also if in terms of which one is more. So if I owe this one more, I'd rather finish either with this one the one that's more, and then go on to
with the balance.
The balance.
Continue paying the rest.
And spread it out equally. So that's the first thing I do. I'd create a budget, list them, and then now I go through the budget and see how to tackle it off. So there are ways in which apparently you can tackle off debt. You can start, as I said, you could start with the biggest amount, which has probably the highest amount you've taken or has a higher interest, or you could start with the lower amount, which is easier take off and has a lower interest. So you can now focus on this other debt that you owe. That's for first. Second of all, what else do I do when I have debt? I also tend to pay extra in moments when, let's say, if you have debt and you have, let's say, 500 bob, and you normally give out like 200 bob or 300 bob every daily to clear off your debt, I'd suggest if you have that extra cash, you also pay it off, because it will also help you reduce the amount.
Clear faster.
Yeah, it clears faster. That way also, it'll save you time. So you'll end up paying it faster also. Yeah, so that's another way. Which other ways do I normally use to clearing off debt? I also negotiate, by the way, as Chai said, with the creditors. It'd be smart. I negotiate with my first supplier. It's not here. Shout out Gamao. Mr. Producer. Our friends, as a friend group, we normally, because we could take advantage of each other. I mean, it's now P2P, it's person to person. Now let's have fun. So those interests, we normally, it would be smart for me to also negotiate my interest so that I don't get the shorter hand of the stick, you know. So I'd negotiate with my creditors or people who I owe money. I'd also talk to them to find allowance of time in which
prepayment terms.
In repayment terms, actually.
Like even schedules.
Yes, completely.
Makes sense.
Vizuri. Smart. I think those are the... do I have another method of... okay, I'd suggest that you also try and invest some cash in which can help you pay off debt. Like, okay, not necessarily invest, but it's selling stuff. Like...
like other sources of income.
Basically. You can sell stuff. There are times where we sold stuff to stuff.
Wow. Going a bit too personal.
But it's true.
Yeah, so
my fridge.
my fridge.
I remember the PlayStation, we saw the PS.
Bro, the PS.
We saw the PS. Good times.
You know that joke at why is your fridge running? It left. Bye fridge. Where is it running to?
It left.
Completely left. Yeah,
That's dope.
So what about you, Kolo? How would you say you've experienced management of debt?
Maybe from a finance perspective, Thomas Danwell, like he's saying finance term back to back, because the first thing he said was determine how you're going to pay your debt. So in finance, there's two terms in debt repayment. There's something known as debt snowball and then debt avalanche. So debt snowball is like how a snow starts at the top of a mountain, and as it's rolling down, it becomes bigger. So the same thing with your debt. You list them according to largest to smallest, and then you start ticking them off one by one. So you come you have a debt for 100k, another one for 30k, huko chini uko na 250, pay the one for 250, because it's in scientific, it's been studied that it gives you a psychological motivation as if you're making progress. And considering money is also a very emotional subject nonetheless, it also helps putting yourself ahead in terms of those psychological triggers to make it work. So that's one of the methods. Debt snowball. Debt avalanche is like an avalanche, top of the hill, but everything falls down at once. So ideally what it does, you list your debt, but according to interest rate. Highest interest to lowest interest, and you pay the ones with the highest interest first. That this means that in the long run you pay less interest, so you end up saving cash ideally. So this method may make sense. List them down, understand the rates that are there, and then choose which method works for you. Me, I'd say if you don't have any finance skill or an Excel, you have time to actually draw an Excel book, just fanya to smallest to largest, because the progress will show you well. Anza na yo mshwari ya 5, so hustler fund ya 700 unajua fuliza ya 250 peleka just go panding from 250 all the way to 1000 it's easy. Then another thing you mentioned was renegotiating terms. So depending on how big you are or how big your debt is, different institutions allow you to renegotiate terms. So like if you show that you're willing to pay and you have a very good history, especially if you have a good relationship with the bank that they trust you, they'll be willing to actually to allow you to negotiate better terms. It could be terms in terms of interest rate, it could be terms in terms of repayment schedule. So instead of you paying every month, wakupe longer periods to repay. Instead of you paying within 18 months, wakupe within 24 months. So all of banks, circles, or depending on the institution, even microfinance institutions, depending on how big you are, of course you have to build that relationship. So you have to answer from day one to be able to negotiate those terms. Another strategy that is popular in finance is consolidating your loans. So instead of you having 15 different loans, maybe you take one big loan, pay off everyone, then you have that one monster to fight. You get, so you consolidate all your loans together to make it easier to pay. Another thing is refinancing, but that's for bigger corporations. But now on a personal level, how does Collins manage debt? So for me personally, a big chunk of my function in TDC is finance. And as finance, you need to be able to find sources of capital. And sources of capital are only two: equity or debt. Equity being money you pour into the business, so from your own savings. So if I have cash somewhere, you can pump that into TDC. Debt is basically taking a loan that the business is going to be able to pay, ideally. So as a finance function, I have to have enough financial management skills to understand what makes sense for the business right now. Ideally, just because we haven't made sales or something, or we're running out of cash flow, does not mean that the business should stop having liquidity.
Very true.
You get, so
others will stop.
Others will stop the business, and the business cannot stop. We feed what feeds you. So in terms of how I manage debt, ideally for me it's very finance related. I look at the interest rates kwanza. What is costing me in the long term? Because you see, you need to understand the cost of borrowing. So if you have a loan for Mshwari is 8%. 8 times 12 is like 96% a year. You're paying these guys 96%. Are you mad?
I don't see it that way. Me just see 8%. I'm like, wow, that's one digit.
And then the problem is the payment cycles are monthly. So if you don't pay, kuna interest rate. So you're losing money on Mshwari if you don't pay on time. On top of that, you don't have enough time to make if I give you 10k, where on this earth are you gonna make cash by the end of the month? unless you're doing some high risk trading, ama you're flipping things, like genuinely unaenda unabuy stock ya Gikomba unauza, alafu unafanya daily nile outdoors,
alafu ujenge kampuni kutoka hiyo process yako,
alafu bado ulipe Mshwari end month. So 30 days a very long repayment window. So for me, like I'd only use those kinds of debts for like short-term cash flow hiccups. Like for example, if the business needs a budget for this week and we're short like 2k, you can afford that 8% because it's only 2k. But taking Mshwari to pay employees, no, that you can't hack. So ideally for me, just understanding the reason you're taking debt. Like strategy 1 is understand the reason you're taking debt, understand the cost of that debt, and then manage it in such a way that reduce the risk mapema. So may always pay high interest kwanza as I go over to the low interest ones. And then the good thing is also another source of credit we didn't think about was credit cards. Credit cards also they're also high interest, but it's a lot easier to pay off pole kuliko these other things. These are things they call him as that lady from Mshwari, relax.
Anakujua na all your names. Anakuita venye unaitwa home.
Maze. Yeah. But I guess for me it's a bit different because I generally have to think about the finance function, and it's not just me. I think about the business. On a personal side, for me, any loan I've taken, I've bought assets with, except maybe when times of those like short-term cash flow hiccups.
Let's segue into, you've gone into our next topic. Vizuri sana. Before that, let me more or less remind anyone who's tuned in what is going on. This is the Money and Youth Talk Show, brought to you by myself, David Chai, and my fellow host. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Thomas Ongaro.
I'm Collins Rotich.
He went quickly, seized the opportunity. And more or less, this is a talk show where we get to come together and discuss how the interaction between personal finance, business finance, art, they all coincide together. It's brought to you by Your Mentor. Your Mentor is an art program that more or less educates and celebrates the work that young people are doing within the creative industry in Kenya. We do this by peer-to-peer learning and equipping young people to thrive economically and socially. This episode was brought to you by True Denim Collection, or TDC. This is a fashion company that specializes on bespoke denim fashion. You can get yourself a TDC piece, a TDC outfit by going to www.truedenimcollection.com. I'm going to say it again. You can get yourself a piece by going to www.truedenimcollection.com or thank you so much. Or going to any of the social media handles, be it Instagram, be it X, be it TikTok, be it Locket. Yeah, you've looked at me. And just highlighting there, we'll be sure to have you sorted out. This episode is also brought to you by... You know what time it is?
Someone has sweets?
Santa baby. It's brought to you by the Sharp Entrepreneur. This is basically a workbook that has guided this Your Mentor program to come up with the different engaging topics that you listen to. You can get a copy for yourself today by more or less sending a DM to the Your Mentor social media handles at Your Mentor. Hi, my brothers. Now,
commercial break
over. We're back to the show, guys. I would now like to talk about something that I'd say the thing that has kept young people from understanding debt in a positive aspect, which is leveraging debt for growth. And as we segue into this topic, I've just realized, this isn't even my notes, that in the world there are types of rich people. There are rich people who essentially don't use any of their assets or money. They leverage what they have with institutions such as banks to get loans to actually now pay for things. A good example is the whole debacle around Elon Musk purchasing Twitter. I hope I don't get any of my facts wrong, but this guy, he more or less leveraged his stock in Tesla to get money, around $40 billion to purchase Twitter. Meaning he did not have $40 billion lying around, as most people would think is the case. Can we more or less now talk about how someone like him leveraged debt to more or less grow his financial portfolio to some degree? And hey, Kolo, I can see you looking at me like almost foaming at the mouth to talk about this. Also, we are kind of short on time this time. Our topic is very, very extensive. No, don't worry. So one more song. I love these guys. So yes, please, Kolo, tell us about how to assess risk versus return, or even productively use debt.
Okay, you brought two different topics here. You've talked about Elon Musk leveraging his assets to get credit to invest. I'd say maybe off the bat, everything I'm going to talk about is one principal idea. Debt only makes sense if you're going to take it to put it in something that can generate a future return. It doesn't even have to be now. That's all the old venture capitalist industry is banking on. They are putting all the money somewhere and they're expecting one of these companies to pop. So how do you scale down to now someone who's starting off vis-a-vis Elon Musk? Because Elon Musk, that's crazy. Because Twitter is a whole media company, so that's a different strategy level. Even him buying one of these media stations, it makes sense. I mean, you need to control media at some point. But now for a small business, I think the example I gave makes sense. You're retailing Tao, it's peak season, you're getting more demand than supply, stock in Asia. So you might need like to get cash to increase your inventory. Then from the sales of the inventory, there's more revenue in the business. Another example could be someone who's like a farmer. they buy like a tractor to make it a bit easier for them to do some of their farming, and that now increases the overall produce to increase output and now generate more revenue. Same thing as a business. Maybe like for us, ideally buying our own machinery. Like when it is that point whereby the thing whenever you need debt is like you don't want to interrupt the business operations. Business is going good, revenue is consistent, expenses are trackable and manageable. Basically your margins make sense, but you've seen an opportunity, you can be able to grow this company. So you're like, okay, fine, instead of me doing like a big capital expenditure internally, which would mess up our cash flow, let's just take a debt to be able to grow. That's for a company level. For an individual level, I think though I didn't advise this, me the time I took like a loan for like 60k to buy shares.
please communicate why you're saying you wouldn't advise it.
Because shares is a risky business, man. It goes up and down. But I'd done my maths, I'd done enough research. By the time I did that math, I was sure that in less than 12 months I'd be able to convert that 60 to like 140. And it worked. Bamburi went from 18 bob to 70.
You guys, guys, I need you guys to understand how crazy this is. Kolo used to come to the house and be like, guys, Bamburi is cheap right now and construction is happening around the country. And we'd look at him and we're like, yo, that's nice. And I'm like, so tomorrow are you gonna eat tonight? And it grew to 70.
Yeah, right now it's even at 68 and they want to be acquired by Savannah. Bro, there was a time it was 19 bob. KCB, it's only 40 bob. There was a time it was, I think, 16 bob also. Ilikuwa imefika bei za Safaricom.
I think our next topic should just
be shares. But if you give me a shares episode, yeah.
You won't be allowed to talk. Just me and Thomas talk.
Give me a shares episode. Mutanyamaza the whole. I love shares, maze. But yeah, by daily, that's how I think you leverage that. The underlying principle is take this money, put it somewhere you can generate more money, such that the money can pay you back. Like how rich people do it. Take money, buy real estate. The rental property gives you cash flow. Cash flow pays back debt. Okay, you're making a lot of cash. Go to the bank, refinance. Refinancing means just basically negotiate for lower interest rates because you have a lot of assets. Unasema yo ni million pass 1M assets, it's 1.5. So you because land appreciates in value. So ideally, take money, buy an asset, generate more cash. Rinse, repeat. You basically are making money for free because you're using other people's money.
Mr. Thomas, do you have anything to add on?
Not really, but yeah, because Kolo has said pretty much everything. I think I can add on like use of skills. Probably you can get money to attain more skills.
Or like buy a course or like go for a workshop.
Yes, like a workshop or a course. But that's it's also risky because you
can fail to learn something.
You can fail to learn,
and then you've technically planned to fail.
If you think about it, like there's this KNCCI, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, CI. Yes. They usually have like those courses ideally, and the thing also sometimes with those seminars and workshop, it's also the people you meet and network with that adds value, and just being in that community around your business, that really makes sense.
Yes.
So that makes sense. Taking debt to actually, but as student debt, US.
Student loans. You guys, you've shot shots at all American students listening to this have started crying where they are.
Saying, help me, send help.
Okay, now considering we have like a better understanding of how you can leverage your debt to grow, we want to now imagine, okay, we have done what we wanted essentially to do with the debt that we had collected, or accumulated. How, or rather, what are the best strategies to quickly get out of this debt, Mr. Thomas?
Yes, as I said again, with writing down your problem, you solve how much percent?
That's half of it.
So half of it. So when you guys go see Pastor Kanyari calling people and people come and tell them their problem, mind you, he's just given them the voice to air it out. Then after that, this guy will find a solution. The pastor doesn't even find for you a solution. You'll go your own ways and you'll think and you'll find it there. So basically, just write down who you owe. Keeping track of those, it'll help you go a long way in clearing debt. And it'll help you also attain the deadlines. Because every debt, it has a deadline. and also know the interest. So doing that will help you to get out of debt faster. Second of all is looking for other sources of income. I'm going to repeat myself basically again, because this will also help you get out of debt. If you look for other sources of income, the cash that you get from that can
help to clear this particular
facilitate.
That one is done. Live by your means necessary. Don't go above budget. Live. You can go below budget. That saves, but don't go above budget.
Actually, I think that's a bigger problem for young people than we have just said it. Because to be honest, there's I like the term Nairobi half-life, because it really communicates a lot of what people go through. In Nairobi especially, there's a huge, I'd say, aesthetic problem where people like to show that I'm exactly optics. We'll go to a club and we'll spend 15,000 on bottles just so I can share on my stories that I'm drinking the most expensive liquor. Personally, I find it very obscure that a club can sell X alcohol at ×3 the price of you just going to get that same alcohol at somewhere else. You get what I mean? And it extends to even outside of sherehe and alcohol. It extends to even just personal lifestyle.
Even this thing for guys taking loans to buy cars.
Yeah.
Almost.
That one right there.
And I wouldn't even say that these guys are stupid or anything. You might find for some people, they find themselves in a situation of maybe having access to this credit, and
because banks are in the business of giving you access to credit. Let me tell you how they do it. Unapata job, sindo? Unapeana bank account details yako ya job. Unapata pesa kwa bank 6 months. Bank inajua kuna domsa anapata regularly. What they send you an email, you qualify for a credit card.
Could you tell me qualify? I feel nice.
You qualify. So let's say you're earning something like 50k. Unakwambia utakupea credit ya 80,000. Unajua ukimaliza salo yako hivi, credit card yako inakwambia there's 80k here to be spent just waiting for you.
Naambia fuliza ya credit card.
Fuliza ya credit card.
The final bosses of
alafu it's linked to your salary. No, imagine that. You see, so you're in a club, unajua sini 15k pekee neza swipe. See at the end month nilipetio 15k.
So banks have a predatory approach
to us. They're in business. What do you mean predatory?
Because they kind of
fair. This is fair. What do you mean? Hata ungekuwa bank executive, this would be your game plan.
Listen banks, you need to sponsor us. Look at this guy.
Bro, it's business.
Any bank you're watching this, we'll get you. We'll get you all the clients.
Ask yourself, how do banks make money?
It's more or less that.
What they do is the main product is loans. You and your balance sheet, a loan is a liability. For them, a loan is an asset. So what they need to find creative new ways of giving you loans. That's why KCB gave you KCB M-Pesa. That's why NCBA gave you M-Shwari.
Makes sense.
That's why Absa gives credit like by the guys okay no
fungua tu just fungua it just we don't know anything, guys.
We have not finished any sentence.
We're not specialists, we are just talking.
This is not don't take us serious. We're not financial advisors. Yeah, but ideally it makes, so you see, and okay, maybe just to get to the point that I was getting at, what you're trying to speak at is not necessarily anything around any other institution. There's no problem with that. The problem is with the psychology around money for human beings. You get like it doesn't matter how much financial literacy you're given if you came from a psychology of money whereby you're scared of losing it.
Very
you
true.
get like how these guys who went through the financial crisis, how they think. Like each generation, they actually called a book called Psychology of Money. I've forgotten the author, but I love that book. Different generations have different reactions to how they spend their money. When I get even like for like Gen Zs are wasteful because wamezaliwa kwa dunia yenye there's a lot. But the guys, the millennials, they are a bit more reserved because their folks grew up in a financial crisis. So you'll pata most millennials have savings for days because they don't run out of cash. Gen Zs will take risks. You know, then there's guys like me who any money I have, I buy assets. I'll go broke, but I love assets. Asset risk.
You're like you're Gen X. You have a Gen X mentality.
I don't know where it came from. I think it's because when you moved out and then life was hard, and I did that whole rabbit hole of finance. Nika realized that as long as you put your money in assets and give it time is your best friend. Hata kani 10 bob a day, eka tu 10 bob a day kwa assets. In the long run you'll see the impact. In the long run, give it 5 years, utaona pesa kidogo, but give it 30 years, utaona pesa mingi.
Okay, so before we go to our final topic of the day, I would do what I have been doing. Commercial break. So guys, this episode was proudly brought to you by True Denim Collection. TDC is a bespoke high-end fashion company that deals with everything and anything denim. If you want to get yourself a high-end denim jacket, some nice denim jeans, anything, a denim scarf, I don't know, I've just thought of that right now. Denim shoes, a denim handkerchief, a denim watch. Bro, I'm not joking. Go to www.truedenimcollection.com and give us, holla at us. We'll be sure to have you sorted out.
Denim.
I like that. You see, we have opened a can of denim. You see already there. Also, this video is brought to you by The Sharp Entrepreneur, which is our guidebook that we more or less use to steer all the different conversations we have on our different talk show episodes. You can grab yourself a copy by hitting a DM on the Your Mentor Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn page, and we'll be sure to have you sorted out. So, my guys, this final subtopic, it's not even a heavy one. It's kind of echoing everything we've talked about, and it's about building financial resilience. Because to some degree, based off of our conversation, if I was to really water everything down, I'd say there's two types of people who they get debt. There's people who know what they're going to do with that debt and know how they're going to get themselves out of that debt. And there are people who just want money. They have no plan. You get what I mean? And I think regardless of where you lie on that spectrum, there needs to be some form of financial literacy that kind of allows you to navigate this tightrope well. You get what I mean? So I'd love to get from both of you how you kind of went about building the literacy around managing debt. Does that make sense? Yeah. Can I get from you, Thomas, and then
mine are very. I actually, this last topic I wrote everything down because it's mentality based.
Amazing.
So it's simple. Discipline and consistency is first. But that's the most top thing to get your mind focused into getting out of debt. The next one is adjust to your situation. If you're in, don't overburden yourself by taking loans and taking more loans and increasing more any problems. Instead, work with your means, work with what you have. The last one is stay motivated, because it's the only way we're going to survive. We're living with human beings. Even the bank is
it's run by humans. Yeah,
exactly. So you have to stay motivated, focus, and what else? Focus. Stay disciplined.
Disciplined. Focus.
Yes, focused. Yeah, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Those are amazing, man. Wow. Kolo. You have to be equally as deep as him or more.
So the question is, how did I start the financial literacy journey?
Like, more or less, not even start. How you'd say financial literacy has got you to this point where you understand how to handle. Because in real sense, you're the pro between the three of us. You get. Guys, sichochi kampuni inaitwa TDC, kuna department inaitwa finance, and it's this guy over here, this guy. So I don't know, just your experience too.
I think the biggest thing that has changed me and has changed my net worth year in year out is the mindset of understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. I don't think there's anything that has had much more impact than that. And how I got to know about that in my financial literacy journey, as I said, was that rabbit hole that time we moved out, whereby I just went on net and nilienda to, there's a show called Rina Hicks. Alikuanga na, I think, a series called Money Wise. I watched all of her stuff. Then I found some guy called Ken Money Matters on YouTube. He talked about shares. I watched all his stuff. Then I found Dave Ramsey, Akaunga Story of Debt. I watched all his stuff. Still do those days a bit controversial, is more pop, but OG Dave Ramsey.
He was deep in
OG Dave Ramsey was OG Dave Ramsey. And like the biggest thing that it introduced me was understanding the asset options that are there. You know, I started buying shares. I started with a SACCO. My first financial instrument was a SACCO.
Shout out to Stima SACCO.
Shout out to Stima SACCO, to sponsor, by the way. I remember I used to put, like, to the soccer day, out of nowhere, it was 60K randomly. I was like, oh wow, time has gone.
Yo bro, by the way, you know, you have like a very healthy, you have developed a very healthy mode of operation when it comes to building to these things. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, even me personally, I struggle with your haba na haba ujaza kibaba aspect. You get? And I don't know if it's also other people.
Like, I think a lot of, because I always recommend the same thing to everyone. What can you afford? And then can you guys are like X amount a month? No. What can you afford today? You get, like, as in what before you doze. Because so what I did was I got Stima SACCO. So what I did was I went on my M-Pesa app. I saved this account for Stima SACCO and the amount to reduce the barriers. So every day I'd wake up and I know I'm putting a stock in Stima SACCO. So I was saying millions on a Stima SACCO. Then the next thing I started was money market. I opened a Zimele money market fund. The next thing I did was I started buying shares. So what I did was I had a bank account for shares, I had a bank account for SACCO, I had a bank account for Zimele, ideally. So because they were just bank accounts. So every day naingia tu M-Pesa natuma a sock Stima SACCO, a sock Zimele, 50 bob kwa shares account. At the end of the month I buy shares for like 2.5. Unajua? Yeah. So like, and over time when it was 10k net worth, it wasn't anything. Then once side figuring like around 100k net worth, you start realizing those 10% annual, because they give you like 10%. Like if you look across all my asset classes, average they give me around 10 to 12%. So if you have 100 rack, after a year unapewa 12% on the 100 rack. So you have 112k.
Damn.
You get, and so to you, another thing about assets, never withdraw. Keep it within the asset. So that 112k goes another year,
it compounds now more.
It compounds. You scale that for 5 years, your 100k unapata imefika almost 200 rack without you adding additional. Shidangu ni me, I still add their sock per day. Because it scaled up. Last year the first year it was 140 a day. After a year it became 250 a day. Right now it's slowed down because tough economic times. But ideally, that habit of doing that consistently and seeing the interest being paid annually, you know, it even gives you morale, because you're like, it's ilianza hivi. But this is an episode on debt.
Yes.
So
catch us on the next episode. We'll talk about
that's on the side of asset classes.
In
terms of debt, how has my attitude towards debt changed? To be honest, I was very dumb a year and a half ago. I used to use only mobile money options. Then the SACCO gave me an option to take a loan for a SACCO, and I realized you can actually take a loan for more than a month. I'd gotten in, there's this thing known as the debt cycle in finance, whereby you take debt, then you pay it when it's due, then you take another debt
and then you find yourself in the
so you're always like a month behind your debt, or even sometimes 2 months behind your debt. So it's literally living paycheck. It's the equivalent of living paycheck to paycheck, but for debt.
Debt check to debt
check. So like I lived that life for a long time. Then when I encountered Dave Ramsey and understanding the high interest debt, how it works, I was like, I'm being really dumb. Why should I take a loan that is charging me 8% a month na kuna option ya 21% a year? So you take a whole debt for a whole year, you're just making small monthly payments. It's similar to what you're doing, but you have a much bigger capital base. So even just understanding those small things and then improving. And also miu angukanga often, so it's been perfect.
Yeah, it's not at a smooth
Because the
sailing.
dumbest thing I ever did in my life, I'd bought Bitcoin for up to like, I think I'd bought up to like 30k. Sindio, and that time Bitcoin was around 18,000 USD. Nikauza at 19,000 because I needed to pay for stuff. 6 months later,
The boom.
so you got 100,000.
So it comes back to your story. Your assets, just let it compound. Yeah,
just let your asset compound. Never withdraw. If you find yourself in a position that you're withdrawing, make sure it's for something that you're gonna return that cash and then put it back in the asset. But if you can, as Elon Musk, take your asset, take a debt, then whatever comes from that pays now the debt.
Okay.
That's why TDC, you find that most times whenever you're financing projects, it makes much more sense to measure the ROI and make sure that whatever debt you take, the return on investment caters for that and the business is still operating non-stop.
I think for me, my journey in financial literacy, especially in the field of debt, started with, like as I said, your journey Fuliza, because I didn't understand the dynamics of credit. I thought credit was simu, like nataka Airtime. That's when someone would ask me credit, that's what I'd think of, and maybe a credit card. But I didn't know it would go to such a personal level that way, and it even exposed me to growing my credit to a point where KCB M-Pesa would be like, yo, now we are offering you now cash to you can get as credit, you get. So for me, that kind of taught me that sometimes the best way to learn is to put yourself in the fire.
Yeah,
it might not be ideal because hey, niliingia that's
wow.
Niliingia like a very deep high interest hiyo deni, but without having to experience that and having to pay that and get out of that, I wouldn't have known this whole world.
School fees.
Exactly. Ilikuwa school fees for the streets, the school of hard knocks. So my guys, we have finished. That was the last subtopic of this episode.
Episode 16.
That's how you know it's a good show. We've just talked heavy topics and then we're dropping some beatboxes. But guys, I think now it's just parting shots, man. The year is over.
Wow.
I think I can take the opportunity to say thank you to not just to everyone who tunes into our shows, not just everyone who takes their time to give us a comment of how you guys are doing well, whether it's on a personal level or through the platforms that we post the show through. I want to just thank everyone who's really like just supported us on across everything, even TDC. We did an event recently and it felt good. It felt like we honored our friend. It felt like we gave him a proper send-off, but it was a communal thing. And I guess it also comes down to this, man. Like, it's becoming a norm now to do this show in a space like this. But if you think about it, guys, when we started this year,
we didn't have a space.
We did not have a space, guys. We were doing this at my mom's place in the sitting room. And I don't know, that's a dream. So as we cross over to the Christmas period and people are, I think it's Thanksgiving right now in the US. I just want to say I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for having a team that we can talk about debt, and it's because we're actively doing it through business. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, you guys, do you have a parting shot before we go? The floor is open. Short one, please.
I'm thankful for life also. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for your mentor, TDC. Yeah, I'm thankful, man. It was a great one.
Yeah, even me, I share the same sentiments. I think thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who comments. Thank you to everyone who shares our stories. Thank you to everyone who likes. Thank you to everyone who just even dying like just scrolls. Your impression in outside yes, and we appreciate any eyes that is on us as your mentor. And maybe to my co-host, thank you guys for being at war with me. I would not have chosen a better team of brothers to fight these battles that we're fighting every day in business, in life, personal stuff. And yeah, I think this year we've really grown a lot. I mean, if you look at as you said, the show, and even just personally as a team, even the thing that we're doing at TDC, like, bro, just are you seeing this piece, man?
Bro, I'm telling you.
As in yo, as in TDC, as Thomas, thank you as a designer. You're doing the Lord's work and more. God bless
If we
your
have like
hand.
guys, imagine I'm pressing a poo 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 sound over here.
God bless your hands and the things that you're doing for that department. Chai, thank you for PR and communications, handling, and also your very crazy ideas. We are like, yo, guys, we want to go to the moon. Chai is like, on which galaxy? You're like, bro, just over here. We're like, no, we can go to every moon in every galaxy. And that's all like, okay, fine, so how do we do it? And we come up with ideas. Even if we don't go to all the other galaxies, at least one extra galaxy makes that. And I think that really pushes our boundaries as a team as well. So I appreciate your effort. I appreciate the team. That's been a year. On to the next one.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on episode 17 in the year 2025. Have an amazing Christmas and an even better New Year. Cheers. There's no music playing.